Ain't no party like a monster party, 'cause a monster party don't stop. Party people in the house, this is and before we get this party started, I want to make a quick apology for missing both my usual upload and stream last week. It was a very, very rough week. Thanks for your patience. Anyway, what we have here is a 1989 NES platformer developed by Human Entertainment, best known for the Fire Pro Wrestling and Clock Tower series, and published in the States by Bandai. It is a rather silly game, but I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that I only mentioned a Western publisher. Yes, not unlike Trampoline Terror, this is a Japanese game that never came out in Japan. There was a planned Famicom release under the name Parody World Monster Party, but this never came to pass. However, a prototype of that version was discovered in 2011 and unleashed upon the internet in 2014. As one of those mechanically unremarkable games with personality to spare that I'm so fond of, Monster Party is an old friend that I actually remember pretty well for a change. However, I never did get around to trying the Japanese prototype, so we are going to do a double LP this round. First, I'll be playing through the American release, and then taking a blind run at the Parody World Proto. I'm aware of a few of the differences, but I'm sure I'll be seeing some of them for the first time. Should be interesting. So put your dancing shoes on, it's time to do the mash! And here we are. Pretty good title screen, I always thought. Obviously, from the name, we're dealing with something very monster-themed, and this certainly gets that across. You don't get a whole lot more monstrous than this fanged gaping maw with the shiny red gums and the bloodshot eyeballs. The additional eyeball in the P in the title there in its jaws, a nice touch as well. We are seeing some fried food going by in the background, which is a little off-theme, but we'll get to that later. As I mentioned, Monster Party is a very silly game. Something we've also got here is green slime dripping all over everything, which is also appropriately monstrous. But there's going to be a little bit of a palette shift. We go into the continue screen, and suddenly, blood everywhere! Yes, the usual Nintendo restrictions on blood and gruesome imagery, a little relaxed in this game. Certainly, the standards aren't as relaxed as much as they were for Golgo 13 Top Secret Episode, but they're definitely relaxed a bit all the same. Why this is, and how this happens, I really don't know. I mean, in the pantheon of NES third-party developers and publishers, Bandai and Vic Tokai weren't really huge presences, so you wouldn't think that they'd be calling in favors. Well, your guess is as good as mine, folks. Anywho, I also have to say I like the contrast between the bloody mess with the drowning skeletons, or whatever's going on there, and the very peaceful, pleasant password entry music. Monster Party doesn't really need a password system very much. It's not a terribly long game, not a terribly hard game, and works perfectly well as a single-sitting kind of affair, but I suppose it is nice to have the option if you want it. I don't think there's anything we can actually do to back out of the password screen, so I'm going to give it a quick reset, and then we will launch into the intro proper. Actually, come to think of it, I should sync before I get into the game proper. Boop. Boop, boop. Boop. That'll do. Mark was walking home from a ball game. He looked up and saw a bright star. Mark's name in the Japanese version was to be Hiroshi. While he stared at it, the star got bigger and bigger. The beauty of the star made his eyes moist, so he didn't notice that the star fell and landed right in front of him. Mark's kind of a softie, and not terribly observant. It wasn't a star, but a monster! Mark quickly asked, "Who are you?" "I'm Bert." Ask a simple question, get a simple answer. Bert in the Japanese version was to be named Varyu, and I gotta say, I always liked his design as a kid, and I still do. It's this armored gargoyle hawk thing. Pretty cool. "What's up?" Mark's kind of taking this in stride, all things considered. I'm looking for help. Evil monsters are out of control in my world. Come and help me. Bert gets right to the point. I'm afraid to fight the evil monsters. I think we can all forgive Mark for that one, being a small child and all. Don't worry. With your weapon, you'll be able to destroy them easily. This isn't a weapon, it's a bat. Can't it be both? Bat, batter, anything is okay. Anyhow, let's go. I do kind of like the idea of Mark running around Monster World with a ladle full of beer batter or something to that extent. Bert grabbed Mark's hand and flew away. What's your name? Mark. Ask a simple question, get a simple answer. Also, this moved really quickly. Not a whole lot of negotiation. Mark, my planet is dangerous. So, we must act together. How? Like this. Then they fuse together. Ask a simple question, get a rather unconventional answer. This is how Mark's adventure began. And round one start. We can easily take a moment here to explore the mechanics just a touch. We're not under any sort of timer or anything like that. In most respects, it is a fairly straightforward 2D, late 80s sort of NES platformer. We run, we jump, we swing the bat. There is a very low duck, and you can also inchworm along the ground. As far as I've ever been able to determine, there is no reason whatsoever to do this. It is just not useful at all. Now, as you would probably expect, we can walk up to things and smack them with the bat directly. But we have another option open to us. If I can get the timing right on this guy, get him to cooperate for me. There we go. We can smack projectiles and reflect them back. Now, if you hit it on the very end of the bat, it'll go straight back the way it came, but if you hit it a little deeper, sort of Arkanoid style, it'll reflect off at a higher angle. Now, aside from the flaming schoolboy or whatever the hell he was, Monster World's really kind of inviting, all things considered. Smiley tree, smiley blocks, pleasant colors, almost vapor-wavy. Monster Party is fairly generous with pickups. Enemies will drop health restoration fairly often, and you can walk back and forth, scrolling them on and off the screen to respawn them, and farm health restoration if you need to. Generally not necessary, but I am a little bit out of practice, so we'll see. Oh, something very beneficial about getting handy with reflecting projectiles is there's obviously a risk involved, but a reflected projectile does quite a bit more damage than a direct strike with the bat. Now, we do have to progress left to right, as you do in most games of this type, but you do need to obtain a key before you can leave the round. But you do need a key before you can leave the level. And to get a key, we have to destroy every boss in the level. We find bosses indoors. Like our first one here. Hello, baby! And based on the little I know about Parody World Monster Party, I'm already seeing a difference. The man-eating plant here has a little bit of a pitcher plant look about it. In the Japanese version, it has more of a Venus flytrap kind of look, which I think makes it a little more of an Audrey 2 reference. They filed down the references, They filed down the references a little bit for the US release, presumably to avoid getting into legal trouble or what have you. Not much here. Boss is not at all mobile, being stuck in a flower pot. And we'll just kind of hang out, shooting bubbles at you. Now, you may notice if I use the bat while I'm in midair, if I can stop getting hit. Yeah, definitely gotta get back in the groove on this game. Again, it's not a hard one, but being sufficiently rusty doesn't help matters at all. Also gotta get the hang of controlling the angle better. What was I saying? Oh, yes. Ah, there we go. We got a good angled shot there. If I jump and swing my bat, you notice the bat stays out the whole time I'm in the air. And that does mean that you can get multiple hits the whole time the bat is out. More effective against some bosses than others. Not super effective against this one. But it's something we will definitely make very good use of. Oh, and I just accidentally triggered something that I completely forgot about. And not something I tend to use very often, which is somewhat to my detriment. No doubt it would be very handy if I got the hang of it. Sorry, this is a little slow because, again, I am kind of getting the hang of the bat angles again. If I jump and press down, I drop down to the ground very quickly. You can cancel your jumps, more or less. This is very unrequired. And again, I never really made much use of it. But I'm sure for damage evasion, if you got good with it, it could be very handy indeed, and I need to stop doing it accidentally. Very simple, or very sensitive to a quick tap on the down direction on the D-pad. There we go. We beat a boss, and we get a question mark. And that can be a few things. It can be points, it can be a health restoration, it can be something very special, which we will see sooner than later. Now, we can stand on the flower pot here, but there's something else we can stand on as well. In the Japanese proto, there's a little bit more of a musical theme here. In this version, if you look at the background there, you see a lighting system up in the ceiling. But in the Japanese version, there is a microphone and a speaker, and we are standing on the speaker right now. They didn't actually remove the object, they just painted it black. Which is why you can still stand on it. I'm assuming that was to make it a little bit more still of a Little Shop of Horrors reference with the whole musical thing. There, I think we just got points. What is up with the disembodied legs there? I could not begin to tell you. The way these guys jump around is a little erratic, so I do like to use the reflection on them when I can. Oh, got an angle. There we go. Ah, this is that special thing I was talking about. Drugs! Mark has his little hallucinogenic episode and turns into Bert. As Bert, you do not jump. Pressing the jump button makes you flap your wings, and you can fly around quite freely. There's no stamina or anything, you won't suddenly plummet to the ground against your will. Very nice. And as you can plainly see, pressing the attack button gives you I-beams. Some doors don't have anything in them. Now, the Bert transformation is a limited time thing, as you can see by the fact that we fairly quickly started to flash, and then now I'm turning back into Mark. Being a limited time power-up, as you might expect, it's really quite good. Being able to fly around is certainly handy, and so is having a ranged attack. A ranged attack which does solid damage and will get better as the game progresses. The only real disadvantage Bert has is that he is incapable of reflecting projectiles, but his powers are definitely worth the trade-off in most cases. Sorry, I'm dead. Omae wa mo shinderu? I guess? Yep, you stand around for a little bit, the fly flashes and disappears, and yeah, the boss is pre-killed for you. This boss actually has some significance in LP history. The prolific, well-known and old-school LPer Deceased Crab took his name from this dude right here. I have to admit I find that a little odd because I don't think it looks like a crab at all. On the other hand, it's listed in the manual as Giant Spider, and I don't think it looks like a spider either. Some kind of lizard or dinosaur thing, near as I can tell. Oh well, I suppose it is in the eye of the beholder. But yep, this is where Deceased Crab took his name. Points again. There's no benefit to accruing points in this game other than bragging rights. You don't get, anything special, any rewards, any extra lives. In fact, this game has no lives. When you die, game over. The Haniwa here, something interesting is about to happen. Well, that escalated quickly. The world of monsters, or at least the world of monsters under the control of the evil monsters, maybe it was nicer when Bert and his gang were in control, has revealed its true face to us. Question marks can appear, as you can see, in as random drops as well, and what went by just now was a Jinmenken, a human-faced dog. They are not a traditional yokai, but more of an urban legend type of thing, kinda like the well-known Kuchisake Onna. Accounts vary, but one explanation for Jinmenken is that they are the ghosts of humans who were killed while walking their dogs. The dark side of Dog O'Clock, my friends. There are a number of things in Monster Party taken from Japanese mythology and legend. I don't know what all of them are, but when I recognize them, I'll be sure to point them out. I don't know what was wrong with me there. Please don't pick on me. Well, I would love to accommodate, but the thing is, one, I need the key, and two, you're the aggressor. As you can see, the Pumpkin Man here is definitely more of a problem than Audrey the Pitcher Plant, or obviously the deceased whatever it is. Spews projectiles quite copiously, and getting past it without taking damage, not the easiest thing ever. I'm doing a lot worse than I should be, because I've kind of forgotten my strategy for this, and I'm just kind of spamming swings at it. The good news is, we've got the key. Oh, and we got a random Bert. I will use my Bert powers to destroy some enemies here, hopefully get a pickup or two. You will probably have noticed, if you have a quick eye, that I picked up an additional Bert pill there. Which doesn't do anything for us, unfortunately. Actually, I take that back. I think it does reset your Bert timer. So if you are running out of Bert time and you pick up a pill, you get it all back. I don't think there's anything in any of the rest of the doors here, because we've gotten the key, which means we've defeated all the bosses. That'll be the case for every level except one of them, but we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Jumping into the arms here will do damage to you, so I'm not going to do that. Oh dear, I am down to 1 health. Yep, being rusty at this game, kinda dangerous. It is really not a hard game, and I should not be in anywhere near this much trouble. And again, I've been fucking around a bit while I try to demonstrate things, which is one of the eternal dangers of LPing. Come on. Give me a good reflectable. Ground level, goddammit. Ground level that I can hit back at you accurately. Not taking any chances here. I want to get close to you. Not into you that way. There we go. And rewarded for it, too. You know, I don't know that I should really be going into all these doors when I already have the key, because it respawns everything. Oh! Especially when things like... Oh, no! Especially when things like that happen. But if you were so inclined, I suppose it would make health grinding easier. Ooh! Oh, come on. I got myself killed there. I did get myself killed. How terribly embarrassing. We can continue, however, that does reset the level, so I am going to get back to where I was off screen, hopefully with a little more competence this time, and I will rejoin you then. Okay, Monster Party pro tip. You don't always have to go into a door and fight a boss immediately if it's not to your advantage. You can always wander around a bit, try and get yourself a Bert pill, whether randomly or through a guaranteed drop, which is a thing that exists. I believe the first Bert pill we get is a guaranteed one. Because really, for the vast majority of bosses, being Bert is most advantageous. Yeah, that went just a little better. Yep, the pill definitely resets your Bert time. Very nice. Now, we will just make a straight shot to the exit, and hope to get a health pickup or two along the way. Ah. Still taking needless damage. I'll get better. Not helping me out at all with your shot cycle here, buddy. Let's just creep up and... Oh, well that worked out. When you see a different looking door like the one over there on the right, that's going to be your end of level door, requiring use of the key. We get a password, and we get a very helpful, modest but very helpful health restoration. I am going to save state. Actually, I think I just hit the wrong key. There we go. And on to round 2. Oh, not wasting any time launching us into the sewer level. Climbing is a thing in Monster Party, but not very often. You know what? I never thought about it as a kid. I just kind of went, oh, Fishman, and went on with my day. But a little older and wiser, that's a fucking reverse mermaid, isn't it? Wow. Also, can we reflect this? Sure can. Since this is moving vertically, it's relatively easy to hit with the end of my bat, he says as he fails to do it. There we go. I think we did the poor reverse mermaid a favor there. tricky thing about patrolling enemies like that, you kind of want to get close to the end of their patrol cycle and hit them more safely from the end of it, because Mark, if you really hammer the button super fast or get your timing down, he can swing fairly quickly, but if the timing is off, then there's definitely a delay. Okay, Medusa, let's mix it up. Medusa is pretty uncomplicated. She is another stationary boss. She gives lots of spawn for you to knock back at her. But she really spams them at a rather impressive rate, so that's kind of dangerous. I think I'm just going to use the rapid-fire, up-close and personal jumping attack, and it worked out okay for me. I also... ooh, nice health restoration. I also note that it seemed that Medusa was throwing out Tsuchinoko there. Tsuchinoko being a Japanese cryptid. Can't remember if it's a traditional yokai or not, I think it might be. But Tsuchinoko are just kind of a little fat snake thing. That also affects Bert in flight. You can plunge down quickly from his flight pattern. Looks like he ends just before the door here, so that's my safe spot to attack from. And we will want to do a reflect against the crocodile here, I imagine. Who rather oddly flings his tail around. Ah, Bert drugs! The true monster party starts here. Bert's climbing frames look kind of weird, I have to say. I'm going to be a little careful here because we can't reflect that tail. Fortunately, he was able to drop the crocodile before that got to be an issue. Alien eggs. We are in the parody world. Oh. I just got a Bert restart. Thank you very much, question mark. Nothing. I should probably amend my previous statement about remembering this game fairly well. I remember the bosses pretty well, and a fair number of the enemies, but where exactly the bosses are situated throughout the levels, that I don't so much remember. There's a little bubble from the alien egg. A fair bit less disturbing than a facehugger. And we can attack from the ladder, so that's nice. Looks like around here is the end of the patrol. Nice and generous with the Bert pills. I appreciate that level. Does me quite the solid. Oh wow, I thought that shot might be too low to duck under, but it is not. Lovely. Shit. Wasted some of my Bert time there. Oh well, it happens. Level memorization does have its perks in Monster Party, to be sure. Oh, there is a head bonk. Come on, open up. There we go. Look out, baby. Here I come. This is quite possibly the most infamous boss in the game. According to the manual, its name is Shrimp Attack. And it's a bouncing fried shrimp. My standard operating procedure for Shrimp Attack is to duck under its simple back and forth bouncy movement pattern and whack some back. A relatively easy boss for Mark to take care of if you don't have any Bert power on you. Horse brute power would make it even easier and make it go faster, but it's not strictly necessary. Also, second form, onion ring. What those sci-fi, maybe generator-looking things are in the background, I could not begin to tell you. Maybe it's a reference to something, but I have no idea what. I've always kind of wondered about what exactly this is supposed to be. It looks fried, so it wouldn't be your traditional kebab. Being a Pittsburgher from that general area, I always thought of it as city chicken. If you don't know from city chicken, it's pork or veal, skewered on a stick like so, often breaded. It's good shit. And I certainly appreciate the health. Don't appreciate the facehugger bubble to the face. But into each life, a little rain must fall. If you don't reflect on those, they take quite a few hits, which shows you just how much more powerful projectile reflection is. Oh, wrong angle. Come on now. Ah. There we go. Can't remember what else we've got in this level boss-wise. We don't have the keys, so there's certainly at least one left. 3, if memory serves, is kind of the average number for bosses per level in this, but sometimes there are more and sometimes there are less. Come on, bubble at me. Bubble me. There we go. Oh, and if there's a boss in here, that was very well timed. So much for that. But we did get a pickup. I had quite forgotten those could happen in empty rooms. We got health from the alien egg respawn, so I will consider it a worthy trip, even if it meant a slight loss of Bert time. Well, never mind the issue of Bert time. You may be noticing that the duck in this game is rather charitable. It's really more effective than you might think to look at it. A lot of things that you would think would smack right into you, their hitbox will actually soar over your head, indicating that for a lot of projectiles in this game, the hitbox is smaller than the actual sprite. Ah, time to do some damage. I cannot consult my notes here while I'm trying to fight the boss, so I will give you the rundown on this real quick before I actually launch into the fight. The well here is based on a centuries-old kaidan. That's an Edo-era Japanese ghost story, best known by the name Bancho Sarayashiki, the dish manor at Bancho. In Bancho Sarayashiki, Okiku, servant to the samurai Aoyama, repeatedly refused Aoyama's attempts to make a little something-something with her, so he tricked her into thinking she had lost one of the family's 10 extremely expensive tin-glazed plates. She tearfully confessed to Aoyama, who promised to spare her if she became his lover, but still she refused. So Aoyama threw her down a well. Charming fella. Well, Okiku became an onryo. Onryo are ghosts, usually women, who return to the world of the living to take revenge for some misdeed done to them in life. Okiku haunted Aoyama by repeatedly counting to 9, then letting out a god-awful hellish scream. This ended when an exorcist yelled out 10 at the end of her 9 count. Believing someone had finally found the 10th plate, Okiku troubled Aoyama no more, and hopefully found peace in the afterlife. And that's why the haunted well here flings plates at you. The more you know. In practice, the haunted well functions a little bit like an upgraded Audrey 2, in that it is a stationary boss that's best dealt with by reflecting. The projectiles just come a little harder and faster. Got a little Bert time from the question mark there, which is never unappreciated. And you will observe in the lower right that we now have the key. We are done with the boss fights. Only reason to go into further doors is if we want to check them for question marks. We can proceed freely to the end of the level. Feels like the down on my control pad's becoming a little bit sticky. Oh well. If it comes down to it, I do have another controller. Oh yeah, definitely getting sticky. Oh well. I'll try and get a little more life out of it. Oop. Slow on the draw there, Mark. Damn it. There we go. I'll get there eventually. Oddly enough, the end-of-level door here is just a pipe, which you wouldn't think would require a key in any logical way, but Monster Party? Not always a logical place. And we have nearly maxed out our health bar. We have, of course, another password. And round 3 finds us in this dark, yet rather glowy cave. The music for this level is a very simple loop, but it remains one of my favorites all the same because I just think it sets the mood really well. Kinda foreboding and spooky. Just good atmosphere. Anyway, I think that will suffice for our first episode of Monster Party. Little bit of a rocky start, but it's coming back to me. Starting to get my timing back a little bit. So, knock wood, things will proceed a little more smoothly as we go on. Thus far, I'm really quite enjoying the revisit. As I mentioned, and not unlike a Styanax, it's hardly a world beater, but it's a competent little game with a lot of character. And that's one of my favorite kinds. Of course, I hope you're enjoying the journey as well. As always, I'm very glad to have you. And I do hope you'll continue it with me next week for another episode of I Played a Thing, Monster Party. Until then, this is Un, signing off. Today's Wonder Boy in Monsterland has been brought to you by Justin Carpenter, Nolden, Zangamarth, Anonymous Benefactor, John Madigan, Sanguine Games, Misha Van Doren, Frank Rizzi, Tim J., Lolo De Puzzlo, Joshua C. Ritchie, Jared C. Rice, Sonic Rose, EX Potemkin, Mechasaurus, DG Jono, Doug Russell, Dodecalope, Jarogue, Martin Schallenmakers, Mayo the Hedgefox, Hildegard Argelmach, IGV, Jazel, Joseph Hall, Hot Mayo Sandwich, Dan Larson, K. Ivan Rupert, Tiny Shopkeeper, Charlie Dunst, Kikaskia, Kobo4231, Yuka Takeuchi Fan, Chaotic Narrative, Mystery Accent, Lakota, Meiyan Ling, Renaman, Fate Everywhere, Rio, TJA, and other spooky, scary patrons. My immense thanks to you all. The material support is certainly appreciated and extremely helpful, but you may rest assured your moral support and loyalty do a lot for me too. Subscribers, friends of the comment section, and every one of you out there, seeing you come back again and again is an honor and a pleasure as well. Hope your day is going great, your coming days are likewise, and I'll catch you next episode. Hello out there, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've had a good time, and I've been glad to have you. If you enjoyed this video, new subscribers always brighten my day, and if you really dig my stuff and would like to support me on Patreon, I shall be very grateful indeed. You're also invited to go with the stream every Friday at twitch.tv/unplayedathing. Thank you again, and have a good one.